Welcome to Mary's Eclectic Interests. Today we'll be making apple pie. So what you need to make apple pie, well, there's several ways you could do the crust. You can make it from scratch. You can buy a pre-made one, and these two happen to be Pillsbury. And there's another one I know that comes in the freezer section that's called Pappy's. So the recipe I have actually calls for Washington State apples. I don't have Washington State apples. Everybody in every state has their favorite apples. Mine happens to be Honeycrisp. So these are Honeycrisp apples. I've also made this pie with Granny Smith, and I've also made them with mixed, part red and part green. The thing is, you have to remember with tart apples such as Granny Smith, you may need more sugar. And with the Honeycrisp, because they're a sweeter apple, you use less sugar. So you will be watching me peel, core, and cut up to 6 cups of Honeycrisp apples. This is a half a cup of sugar. This is 2 tablespoons of flour, 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. There's a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Now on the side, I have a little bit of flour, and that is to put on the bottom of your pie crust otherwise it might stick to your pie pan. So that'll be for later. So let's get started. And here we go. I'm going to take out some of these apples. And as I'm peeling them, I will be there. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put the peelings, but I know I'm going to put the apple in here. So we're going to have another little bin. You'll notice I'm bringing back another container. This is for the peelings and for the core, the apple core. Now I'll speed this up when I add it here, because this is going to take a while to do this. Now there are peelers out there where you could stick this in and this in, and it just goes around. But I never do that many. I do know my cousins used to use that because they would make multiple pies and they'd put them in the freezer. And they had those great big chest freezers. They were all farm people, so they were doing everything in bulk so that they could just yank things out and cook them. And of course they did things seasonally. Now I'm going to do a couple of these before I core them or cut them. Now the reason I want to make this pie is I need to get rid of these apples. They're starting to dry up a little bit, and I can see it in the ridging a little, and I need to get rid of it, but they're still quite juicy. Now this is how I do it. Everybody has their own way. Oops, let me get this down a little bit more. I always cut the ends off. I would not suggest you bring this towards you. Probably the better thing to do is go down like this, then you won't accidentally cut yourself. It says to do it thinly. Now everybody's idea of thin is different. I kind of do it about this thin, maybe it's a 1/4 inch, and I like them smaller so that when you do eat your pie, you're not getting these huge wedges. And I find the best thing to do for that is just cut your apple in half, then you'll get half the size. And then I just go around. I don't sit there and measure anything, I just start slicing away. That one's a little thick, but that's okay. And then everybody likes their pies done differently. I like a little bit of a crisp to my apple when I take out my apple pie. I don't like mushy apples. Some people like mushy apples. I don't like mushy apples. And then you get into a rhythm. It's not going to take that long to get 6 cups. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to have some apples left. I'm hoping I use just about all of these apples. I suppose I should clear this out, and then you could see a little better. It doesn't really matter where I put things. There. I'll just make a little, and this can go over here. I think these are getting thicker as I'm going along. Oops, that one was really thick. Well, we're up to 4 cups. Okay, what do we have here? Oh, we've got 6. 6 cups. What do you think? I think I might put one more in. They're small. This one's kind of small. I'll put this one in. We'll do one more. Rather more than not enough. I want a little bit more room to maneuver. There. Everything. And let's put that over here. I keep losing my sleeves. There, now I feel a little bit better. Let's get the lemon juice on, because that's what keeps it from turning brown. And I'm just using my hands because this is all going to go in the oven, which, by the way, I should turn on and preheat, shouldn't I? So you're going to preheat your oven at 350 degrees. So let's do that right now. Okay, I'm back. I just threw the preheat on. How am I going to, I want this to be all together so that when I'm going to put this all together. I used to have a little baby whisk, and I don't, but this one will do. Some of this sugar is kind of there. All right, let's get the flour in here. That way when I mix it, it'll all mix together. Probably need a bigger, here, let's get rid of this. Should have had a little bit bigger bowl for this. But it's starting to go. That way it'll be evenly coated. And there it is. Mix it all up. We'll set this aside. Now I'm going to have to wash my hands because they're all full of sugar. Okay, now here's my, let's get all of this stuff out of here. Here's my pre-made pie crust. Yes, I'm being extremely lazy. I'm not making pie crust from scratch. I have made pie crust from scratch. But there are days you just don't want to go through all of that. Now here's where I'm going to use my extra flour. And I kind of liberal, I put a lot on there. As the saying goes, I don't want that to stick to the bottom of my pie plate. Now this happens to be a Corningware pie plate. You can use glass, you can use metal. I've even used, if I know I'm bringing a pie somewhere, I've gone out and bought the aluminum pies. Then I can, there's one piece of pie left, or there's something, I don't have to have the host go and put that last piece of pie in a container for themselves so I can get my dish back. This way I can just say, well, thank you for everything, you know, and da-da-da-da, and leave the leftovers. I don't have to bring them home. I don't know why I'm doing this, because I have to do a top. Oops, I'm so used to doing one pie crust. Let's not do that. I have to put a top crust on there. Bad Mary. Okay. So we're not going to do that. I'm so used to doing just the bottom shell for a pumpkin pie or a lemon pie or that type of thing. Wow. I think I've got plenty of apples, don't I? I'm going to cut some of these up a little bit. These are, I don't know, this is a pretty, well, it'll go down as it cooks. Here comes the other crust. And that one, of course, we don't care if there's any kind of flour on it because it's on the top and it's not going to stick to anything. Holy moly, look at how big that pie is. I hope it's as good as it looks. Now you have to do these together. And this I'm not very neat about. And personally, I don't care that much for pie crust. I'm one of these people that would be happy just with the pie. So here we're going to do this a little. I'm going to squash it together. My pie crusts always come apart anyway. Uh-oh, I cheated on this side. It's going to be a little, I'll wrap that around and hopefully, that's what I've been kind of doing anyway. And everybody does this different too, as far as the two crusts putting it together. It's not going to be going anywhere fancy. I used to make this one, I made this one pie crust that had cheese in it. Oh, was that ever good with apples? An apple pie with a cheese crust. Yeah, I kind of didn't have that pulled all the way over even. So you just make do with what you have. No reason to panic. Wow, pretty darn big, isn't it? And then you put little slats on the top. Well, I'm putting some pretty big ones, I guess. And that way the steam will come out. Now, I've done this before in my show. I've shown you this absolutely ugly, ugly, ugly pizza pan that I've kept. I don't care if it looks like garbage, because this is going to go in my oven first. This is going to go on top. That way, if anything bubbles over, it's not going to go in my oven. It will boil over into this pan. And that way you don't have to clean your oven if anything happens. I know they're all self-cleaning, but it's still inconvenient. So I believe it's at 350 degrees over there. I would suggest you don't carry it over on this because it is slippery. Okay, I'm going to be putting this on the middle rack. See, doesn't that look pretty? This one. Okay, here we go. It's going to go in the oven. And it's going to be in there for half an hour. Now, everybody, like I said, it depends upon your apples. It depends upon your oven. It depends upon a lot of things. And I'm going to do, I know there's a timer on the oven, but I like this because I can go and work on my computer for half an hour and take this with me and I can actually hear it go off. Welcome back. And as you can see, the pie is finished. And you'll also notice that the crust edge is very dark. I forgot, which I normally do, I'll take aluminum foil. I'm just going to cut off a piece so you'll just to do a quick demonstration. And I just bring that all the way around. And as this top is browning, somewhere in the process, I'll take the aluminum foil off. And that will keep the edge from getting as dark as it is. But that doesn't seem to bother me because I normally don't eat the crust that much anyway. As we're going to give this a cut here. And the first piece of pie never comes out properly. We all know that. It's going to come out a mess. So let's see if this is going to at least come out. I'm using a little bit larger, not a pie one, but more of a something you use for cakes or brownies or something, because it might get underneath there a little bit better. Here we go. Now I'm going to take this out of the way. So now I'm back. Here's our cut slice. And let's see how this is going to taste, because, as I said, they were a little bit older apples, not as juicy as when I first bought them. Perfect. The apple's not mushy, but not hard. It's just right. Welcome to Mary's Eclectic Interests. I've been hungry for caramel sauce, but I can't eat the normal sauce that's out on the market because it has something in it I'm allergic to. So I went online and I looked through a few recipes, and this is what I'm going to attempt. One of the recipes said make sure all of your ingredients are at room temperature. Okay, we have 1/2 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of firmly packed brown sugar, 1/4 cup of apple cider. We will be having 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And this is 1/2 cup of heavy cream and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. It says put the butter, brown sugar, apple cider, and cinnamon in a medium saucepan on medium heat. Cook and stir until mixture turns a deep amber color. Well, shall we try it? Here's the 1/2 cup of butter. Whoa! Okay, what I am going to do real quick here is turn this down, because this is going to burn. So I'm going to pick this up. I didn't realize that my little hot plate got that hot that fast. So I'm going to set that over here. Okay, and I'll get there we go. And then it says 1/4 cup of firmly packed brown sugar. So what I don't want to do is burn the butter before I even get started. And it said to do it on medium heat, but boy, that's what I thought was medium heat. Okay. And 1/4 cup of apple cider. 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now let's turn this on not as high as it was. And all this time you're going to whisk this. This one says stir, but the other one I saw said whisk. And I'm going to cheat. I'm going to put the teaspoon of vanilla in the cream, so it'll be added at the same time. Being that I don't have anybody to throw anything in for me, it's there. It would be easier to do it that way. All right, now I'm going back up here. I haven't burnt my tablecloth yet. And it doesn't say. It says it will be bubbly, but boy, when I go up a little bit more, it really goes bubbly. I'm not sure if I should add in a little cream yet or not. It's still bubbling. Let's see. Yeah, it's bubbling. Well, let's see what happens when I add just a little bit. We got on to a discussion of caramel apples and caramel on ice cream and all of different things. And I said, I haven't had caramel in over 30 years. And a friend of mine says, well, you know, you can make it. And I go, yeah. She made it sound like it wasn't going to be that hard. So we'll find out if it is or if it isn't. It'll either work or not work. Now, because I'm adding something colder in, I'm going to have to turn the heat up. And the reason they say let everything go to room temperature on one of the recipes that I was reading, it said because otherwise your ingredients might curdle. It says you're supposed to do this until it coats the back of a spoon. I don't think there's any nutritional information. Oh, now I have to go back down because it's bubbling too much. So let's go back down. Look at this, it's just bubbling like crazy. Let's see if I can get it over there. Here, let's see what it looks like. All right, that's the last of the cream. It's starting to coat a little bit. It's not real thick, but it's starting to coat a little bit. Now this says there's 10 servings, but it depends upon what you do with it. I don't think there's 10 servings there unless it's a scoop of vanilla ice cream with some caramels on top. You can see it on the bottom. It almost starts it's like a gelatin. It almost looks like it's gelatin, but it's really not. The bubbles are all starting to, they kind of go together and then they pop. It's rather difficult to explain if I try to show it to you. They pop before I get, but I'm trying to remember to go around the edge because that's where it's thinner and get it into the middle. I wonder as it cools, it'll get thicker like a tapioca. For my first time, I don't think I did too bad. Let's push this over. And I wanted a caramel apple, so let's see if I can do this. Okay, my little this here is from a Haagen-Dazs ice cream bar. So let's see if I can do this. I'm going to dip it in. It's a little hard to get the upper portion. There we go. Whoa. I don't want it to all come off. Here. Maybe I should wait for it to settle a little bit more. Okay, but I have not had a caramel apple in forever. You can see the red through it a little bit, but all in all, when I look at from my perspective up here, I'm seeing brown. I see a little red there, but that's okay. I'm going to take this and let it cool down. In the previous show, I made homemade caramel. I thought it was going to be as hard as a rock. It's not. Look at how nice and supple this is. Look at that. And of course, these are freezer bags. This is a freezer bag. And again, I'm going to label this a little later on. Thank you for watching Mary's Eclectic Interests, and I'll see you next time.